Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Breaking Bad Insider Podcast. My name is Kelly Dixon, and I'm here with my executive producer, Vince Gilligan.
Hi-yo.
The star of our show, Bryan Cranston.
Hello.
And our executive producer, Michelle McLaren.
Hello.
I want to get to the, because to me, this is one of the coolest parts of the season that I'm really excited about. Is Hank decides, hey, I got this case that a friend of mine's on. You got to see this, and they pop in this video of now you had to explain this to me,
Countdown's
and
on.
you had to explain this to me. So I want you to explain how this came about, because this is actually your version of a karaoke booth in Thailand that Gail would have been at.
Something I saw on my various Thai sex tours. No, I've actually never been to Thailand. But
that's
been on plenty of sex tours.
That's why.
But never in Thailand, ironically.
But that's why
New Jersey, mostly New Jersey.
Was it inspired by Flight of the Condor?
You know what? It was not. But the trouble is, then we started looking up karaoke.
That's
videos,
right.
And we saw the one from Flight of the Conchords, which is freaking hilarious.
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
must have missed
It's
that one.
brilliant.
That's great.
And then I was thinking, oh shit, should we even do this now? Because how's it going to be as good as those guys? I mean, because that's a great one.
And so you wanted it
That's a great
subtitled in Thai. That's why it's subtitled.
Yeah,
in
we
Thai.
had someone. I believe Thomas Golubic found a lady. I don't know if it was a man or a woman, to be honest, but someone who could be a Thai interpreter of the song.
And why did you settle on Major Tom?
Just because
song.
It just felt right. It just it's a song. It's a bit cheesy. It's earnest, but it also is. It kind of sticks in your head, and it's fun. It's a fun song. It just seemed.
It's familiar.
It's familiar.
Yeah.
It just seemed like the kind of thing that he probably would go for after smoking a little Thai stick or whatever.
And affordable.
And yeah.
Well,
it cost a
But,
little bit of money.
but I think you should talk about the music. Someone too bad Tom is not here, but you got to be very careful of what music you select, because it can be unbelievably expensive.
Oh, it can be
and so
incredibly.
you have to get the right music, but it has to fit.
And of
within
course,
your budget.
with something like that, we need to know it ahead of time because we can film it.
Right.
Yeah, because he's on camera singing it.
So you brought David back, to do that.
And also, you want to be a song. Yes, we brought David Costabile back, wonderful actor who plays Gale. And it also has to be a song. There's a lot of songs that would have perhaps worked also, but they have a big chorus in them. This song, I think, is just one man singing the entire time. A lot of rock songs have a chorus and backing singers or whatnot, and you kind of want this one voice. It just seemed right. It's a fun, infectious song, and it felt like something the character Gale, would do. And also, luckily, David Costabile, it turns out, has an excellent singing voice. You cut that thing together with we used a bunch of footage from old science fiction TV shows. There was a TV show called Quark that starred Richard Benjamin in the late 70s, and this was on the heels of Star Wars being a big hit. And I remember the show because I used to watch it as a 12 or 13-year-old. I watched the show. It only lasted like a season. But he was an intergalactic garbage collector.
Yeah.
That's great.
And there's all the spaceship, like two-thirds of the spaceship.
There was a little
footage.
person in it, in a suit, wasn't there?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's a
that.
couple of hot clones, blonde clones. They got a couple of twins, and it was, I want to say Buck Henry had something to do with it.
Yeah.
Great writer. But the show, all of this to say, half of the spaceships flying around behind Gale's head are from the TV show Quark.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. I was wondering.
I knew it instantly when they showed me the stock footage. I said, that's Quark. I remember that.
Well,
it was fun.
Well, I mean, that's like a perfect introduction into what Hank knows and to show to Walt, because you actually see, in fact, the line is something like, Junior says, "Who is that?" And he says, "That's Albuquerque."
Albuquerque's most wanted.
Public enemy number
Public
one,
enemy
or
number
something
one,
like that.
And up until that point, Walt had no idea in any way that Hank, who was recovering from this horrific wound, would be anywhere. I mean, it comes out of left field to Walt.
And the look on your face is
he just
awesome.
crapped
Yeah, I need to
Right.
mention
it's-
here
it's
too that
awesome.
that
true.
I mean, it sounds a little weird, but we are right in the middle of our editing season right now, and so we're about halfway through. And Brian actually hasn't seen any. You haven't seen any of the episodes.
I saw the first two at
Oh,
the,
you saw
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
At the screening.
Oh, okay,
we
yeah.
screen
the
every
cast
year.
and
We screen
So,
it for the cast.
but you
and crew.
haven't seen this episode.
First
You
two.
haven't
No, I've only
okay.
seen two.
But this episode we're speaking of, we've seen it. We've
Many
seen it
times.
in its edited form, but we haven't seen it mixed or
No. No.
finished
No.
yet. You know,
And
because
actually,
we haven't done that part yet.
Kelly did a really nice thing, and I'm not sure how this came about because I was in the other room on 5 when you guys were doing this. But when I came back in, I really liked what you guys did when Walt is looking through the notebook, and you wanted to create the feeling like he's poring over this book, but you didn't want to give it away in front of Dean or in front of Hank that he was being completely obsessed. And you did a great thing with I don't know how to even call it, but a quick little montage almost. Those quick cuts of him looking at.
That was Vince's
poring over the book.
idea. He just said,
really
I
effective.
want it to be like just. I don't care. I don't really want Walt to be concerned with what Hank is saying so much as more about what he's looking at. And I said, well, how crazy can I be? And he's like, do what you want. And he kind of left the room, and I just kind of went
Yeah,
after it.
no, you did it. You did a great job.
It was great,
It's a
yeah.
tricky thing because Walt cannot appear strangely, overly fascinated by this thing because it may read as suspicious to Hank, and yet it's tricky. But
He wants to know.
somehow
he wants to
that-
know
It's
how
tricky.
much did Gail write
Yeah,
about
it's-
me.
Because this is one thing that we had to do a reshoot on.
Yeah, yeah.
We had to do a pickup on that, and knowing the proximity of where Dean was situated, looking
Right.
at me,
Yeah.
and we couldn't give away anything that he was
You did a
what
great
he was
job.
looking at.
It came
The
out
nice
great.
job.
Yeah.
Very delicate.
very
Yeah, it
delicate,
was,
very
yeah.
delicate
Yeah.
in the acting and in the directing and in the editing. But I think it plays like gangbusters.
But then Walt goes to Saul's office.
Yes.
Walt goes to Saul's office, and he's all panicked, and then Saul says, "Hey, I got the name of a guy who's a disappearer.
Yes.
Yeah.
You want his
That's a
card?"
great scene.
I think
He has a card.
There was one extra ER you left out. I think it's disappearer.
Okay,
Not
But,
disappearer. Yes, you're right.
but yeah, it's like so now Walt is kind of thinking about the end game, like what's gonna happen
exit
because
strategy.
Hank is is on my trail, and Gus is not gonna stand for Jesse much longer.
You're getting your shoes squeezed from both sides there.
I know.
No, that's bad.
And
Yeah.
you're trying to find out like what Jesse. The next thing is you're trying to find out what's going on with Jesse, and Jesse's really kind of clammed up at this point. He's not wanting to talk to you, and
He's in his own private hell.
Yeah, he's having this party. He's always cut his hair.
Yeah, what was the story? Where'd you guys? Was it hard to find the guys who would get their hair cut on camera?
It was because guys who grow their hair really long are very conscious of their long hair, and chances are they're unlike women who will cut and grow their hair quite often. We understand that your hair will grow. It was really hard to get these guys who were being paid a day rate as an extra to shave their heads, and we ultimately paid them a little bit more, and we found some guys, but we first cast a couple of guys who changed their minds and said, no, I don't want to do
Oh,
it.
really?
Yeah.
Not on
Yeah.
the day?
Not on the day, but beforehand.
there,
Yeah.
yeah.
What about
Before
about
or
Aaron
after the
cutting?
attack?
Well, Aaron, it was actually Aaron Paul's idea.
So he wanted to do it.
Aaron came to
I know
us
he
and
does
said,
that all the time. Is he'll cut his hair?
yeah,
off
no, Aaron
after the
came to us and
season.
said, I think that Jesse should cut his hair, shave his head.
That
And
was Aaron
Aaron's
Paul's idea.
So
Yeah.
we went to Vince and
It was, yeah.
and pitched it to Vince, and Vince said, yeah, I like it. I think it's a good idea. It goes with what's happening with the
Yeah.
character right now.
Good idea.
Yeah.
So
See you next week for episode 5. Until then.
go Break Bad. Everybody, thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Brian,
My pleasure.
Vince,
Thank you.
Michelle.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for listening, and go Break Bad. Hey.